Finished with 144 yards through the air. 43 came on that touchdown pass in the first drive. The Buffalo Bills did a great job keeping the roof on the house, keeping everything in front of them. And that has been their mentality the entire season. They don't usually allow splash-like plays coming from the opposing offense. Any plays of 20 or more yards, that hasn't been the thing for Buffalo. And when they allow that mishap to take place, you look at the sound adjustments moving forward that really limited Bo Nix from being the Bo Nix that we've raved about throughout the course of his rookie campaign. This is a well-coached group with the Buffalo Bills. They execute the right way, and they do a great job in tackling as well, because if you look at the flow of the game, listen, as a fan watching the game, when you saw how easily Denver had success, you thought this would be a back and forth affair, but because of the sound adjustments the Buffalo Bills made, they were able to efface the offensive game plan from the Broncos.
It was
Okay. So listen, there's obviously some truth, that he's saying there. This was the Buffalo Bills day, right? No one could argue that. And the Broncos are just not there yet, right? They're just not there yet. The fact that they were even able to get this far, get to the playoffs, is absolutely extraordinary. And this was an awesome season. I know it wasn't exactly how Broncos fans wanted it to end, but at the same time, seeing this game, how this game unfolded, should give you even more optimism. More optimism. And I've been saying this, and they actually finally said it on the broadcast as well. Bo Nix reminds me of Josh Allen. I'm not telling you that he's going to be as great as Josh Allen or this or that, but he absolutely reminds me of Josh Allen. He was a baller even in this game. And in fact, this reminded me of Josh Allen early on with the Buffalo Bills when he wasn't getting any help. Josh Allen, until this game, 7 of his last 10 playoff games had to be the leading rusher as well. And in Bo Nix, that was this game right here. Bo Nix was 13 for 22, 144 yards, 6.5 yards per attempt at a 93 rating. And for 95% of the game, it wasn't until the last drive that those numbers went down, and he had over 100 rating. There were so many drop passes early on in the game that really inhibited the ability for the Broncos to kind of sustain drives and keep things moving forward. He hit 8 different receivers. He was the leading rusher. 4 carries for 43 yards, 10.8 yards per carry. There was only 17 total carries for 79 yards. And, you can't just say, oh, well, they were down, because they weren't for majority of the, the game didn't really kind of get out of control until kind of, later in that second half. But the first half, it could have been 10-10. And even so, it was 10-7. He led the team down to tie the game up. It was a missed field goal. Those things happen. It's frustrating. I get it. But, Bo Nix was not a problem in this game, and that's exciting. He was supposed to be the weakest part of this team, being a rookie. That's what they always focus on. Rookies on the road and the playoffs, etc., etc. Moment too big. The moment was not too big. He was balling. He was composed. He was comfortable. I mean, that's awesome. That's exactly what you want to see. That's exactly what you want to see. So, again, this was never about this year, and I'm going to talk way more about this over the next few days. I just, really want to get these videos out post-game. But, yeah, I mean, they were 0 for 1 in the red zone. They got to the red zone only once, and when they got there, they didn't convert. They had 18 minutes time of possession. I mean, the Bills had, I think, at least 5 drives that lasted over 5 minutes. They couldn't stop them. Again, Josh Allen is a beast. I know the Broncos defense is really good, but the defense was on the field all day. The Denver Broncos offense couldn't sustain drives. They were 2 for 9 on third down, 1 for 3 on fourth. And I assume that 1 for 3 is is probably the punt conversion. But this was another situation. This was very similar to when I watched the Broncos play the Ravens, where I see a quarterback who's actually playing pretty well, who's actually really trying to put his team on his back, but he's just limited by the people around him. And this team still needs help, and this team still needs to mature and learn how to grow. I mean, you even saw in Shaw Payne, I forget who ran the route, but he ran it short to even just convert that fourth down. Little things like that, drop passes. No one could really help make a play, couldn't really get the run game going beyond Bo Nix scrambling. And again, I think Bo Nix, for the most part, relatively speaking, yeah, he had a couple errant throws, but again, at that point, the game was kind of already out of reach. But I mean, he kept the Broncos in this game. And at the end of the day, at the end of the season, you wanted to have the takeaway of our quarterback can help us. Our quarterback can be the leader of this franchise. And he proved that. And he proved that in the playoffs, even though they obviously, lost 31-7. That opening drive, I mean, obviously it was a beautiful throw, beautiful third and long, and then the touchdown for 43 yards. Those were obviously all scripted plays. They did exactly what I thought they needed to do in terms of get the ball first and score first. And I was like, oh my God, that's exactly what I said in one of my videos, that's what they're going to need to do. And they did it. Even Sean Payton was smiling. And then the defense was holding their own, absolutely holding their own, giving up only 10 points in the first half. That's awesome. But again, you had to burn your fake punt move because of a drop pass. And I think even Romo said that before. It's like he said before the fake punt, he was like, they're punting now because of the drop pass. And it's just those things come back. They come back for you. And against a team like the Buffalo Bills, you're just not going to be able to get away with it. And like Mike Tomlin said last night about the Steelers loss, he's like, in the playoffs, you got to score more than 14 points. And of course, in this game, you got to score more than 7. But again, this game was always an indicator of what the future is. I've seen other teams go up against, young quarterbacks go on the road or even at home, have some playoff games. The most recent ones really remind me of Jalen Hurts, Kyler Murray, and those quarterbacks in those moments looked overwhelmed. They looked uncomfortable. They got rolled. You're just like, kind of like, what am I watching right now? I never felt that way. When I was watching Bo Nix and the Denver Broncos, I'm like, this guy's the future. This guy is the future. It's just this team, again, the dead cap money, the inexperience of the roster in many key places, just comes back and gets you on the road against a team like Buffalo, who has been there now year after year after year after year. If you're watching that broadcast, you could see them constantly talk about the Bills' maturity and the growth, the evolution of Josh Allen. That's all real. That all takes time. And think about how amazing Josh Allen is, and think about how many years it took for him to kind of get to this point, where winning this wild card round is pretty much a give me, right? It's like, if you're a Buffalo Bills fan, you're not even really celebrating because you're like, yeah, well, we better do this. I expect to do this. And so that's where the Broncos are. The Broncos are on the beginning of their journey right now, which, again, no one ever really wants to hear. No one ever wants to constantly hear better luck next year, but it will be better luck next year. I am confident in that. And you've given so much for Sean Payton and the Broncos franchise as a whole to work with going into this offseason, recognizing what they need to do, how they're going to continue to grow and evolve. Bo Nix now has some awesome playoff experience under his belt. Like I said, he already proved to me that he can handle the moment, that he's ready for the moment. He wasn't he was not a liability in that game. They didn't have to protect him in that game at all. I mean, he was there. He was making plays, and that I just find that really exciting. Honestly, I really do. You give him some weapons, you get him some consistency, and the defense continues to do what it does. And you start winning games like this, or you certainly play them a lot closer. So all the Broncos on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and onward, but just wanted to get the quick thoughts out as quickly as possible. But yeah, would absolutely love to hear your thoughts. What do you guys all think about this game? Are you a little upset? Do you think it could have been more competitive? How did you feel Bo Nix played and just the Broncos as a whole? Me either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here, and absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.